welcome to First and Filoni. This is our Week 10 edition. We have some special guests here, but alongside me, as always, is Andrew Cooper. And then we have the gentleman from the Athletes Table podcast. If y'all want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, feel free.
What's going on, y'all? My name is Dylan. I'm one of the hosts for the Athletes Table podcast. We're really excited to come along with y'all guys. I know whenever you reached out, I brought it up to the guys about doing a collab, and we were on board. So we're really happy to come on. I'll let Nick and Aaron introduce themselves, but on my side, really excited to be here. Appreciate y'all letting us come on.
You go ahead, Nick.
Okay. Well, I'm Nick. I'm also known as the Lebanese Stallion on the Athletes Table. Hear about any sport you talk about it, I'm there with it. So I'm down to be here, glad to be here. Sorry I'm a few minutes late, but we're good to go.
All good, my friend.
I'm Arend. Nice to meet y'all. Love to be on here. Just love football. Less NFL more days because rules and all that, but college is getting better and better.
Yep.
Love college football.
Well, this is a college football podcast. Andrew and I started last year just because we would normally talk hours on end as it is for college football. So why not record it and put it out there? So
absolutely.
Let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. So what's new this week? We got a couple topics. The Michigan cheating scandal. We spent a lot of time on it last week. Some new things have come up. But just wanted to kind of get fresh takes on it, Andrew. Your new takes as well. New things that have come out is Connor Stalions has been seen on the Central Michigan sideline with, and I'm not even making this up, guys, with sunglasses that are spy sunglasses, had a video camera inside of them. Yep. This just keeps getting funnier and funnier. Guys, I don't know if you saw our takes last week. Both of us were like, we don't care about the sign stealing unless technology is really involved when it's recording and stuff like that. That's where the unfair advantage is. NCAA put in a rule years back that you can't do it because it's an unfair advantage for some of the lesser money making schools. Can't do it as the more money making schools. But just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on the new sunglasses with the video camera. Andrew, we'll let you go first on this one since this one is kind of news to you, and I think you would have gotten a kick out of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, it is what it is. People have been stealing signs for years. Apparently, they were doing it with the TCU crap, and TCU still did what they did. But now it's getting to a different level with me, with what is the Spy Kids on Disney Channel again. I mean, it's not like Michigan can't recruit and get players. If you're gonna play the game, play it right.
Right.
Absolutely.
You guys go ahead and just jump in whenever.
Yeah, I mean, me being an Ohio State fan, I'm glad to see Michigan finally get out in the radar like that. I know Aaron's kind of the same way. Not being an Ohio State fan for him, but just hating Michigan. Yeah. Harbaugh, man, he should have been sayonara a couple years ago after losing like 3 or 4 in a row to Ohio State. So hopefully he'll be fired for this. But at this point, I don't know how that's going to end up taking place because they had the 3-game suspension at the beginning of the year.
No, so I'm going to come back to that.
That was self-imposed on that, though.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like it might, that might hinder the NCAA and University of Michigan's perception on how to punish him.
So there, and funny you brought up Harbaugh because I'll pull up a article today on Sports Illustrated. They've already met. They met Tuesday morning to discuss Harbaugh and their extension because they're gonna give him a contract extension before all this started. It was a unanimous decision. They're going to give him a contract extension. They're already making the paperwork right now. We just don't know how long it's going to be. But they've already came out and said 100% Jim Harbaugh is going to get an extension.
Well, they rescinded one, so I'm guessing they put it back out on the table then?
Yep. Yeah, they're going to come right back with it, and he's going to be the highest paid coach in the Big Ten.
I'm not really surprised about any of that, though. No. I think the whole cheating thing, it gets more and more outrageous. I mean, I've even heard stories of teams like, hey, they are sign stealing. We've seen it. We're going to warn you about it. And teams like, I don't really care. It is what it is. But, I mean, Harbaugh brings in so much for Michigan. That's the thing. If you think Michigan, you don't think of a certain player. You think of Harbaugh. Because Harbaugh will bring you in just the fanfare, just everything. It's just what making Michigan just become such a big school in football, especially.
Not only that, not only that, there's also supporting the Jordan brand too, and that goes a long ways with now with the
Yep.
recruiting anyway, with the top gear you're going to get. So kids are going to go where you're going to win, you're going to compete and look good doing it.
Even if
yeah.
Michigan has a down year, like before you had the Brady Hoke era, you had the Rich Rodriguez era, they were down, but they've always been a powerhouse. So it's kind of like one of those college blue blood names. Some stats to kind of look at too, which I think is funny. And we mentioned it last week. He was like 42 and 22 before 2001. Connor Stallions got hired in 2021. Connor Stallions got hired and now he's 33 and 3. It's just kind of funny. Like, I'm thinking it is what it is. But if you're bringing technology in it, that's where I kind of like draw the line. I'm like, come on, because then it's just not a fair advantage for some other teams. Not to say other teams aren't doing it.
No, but it's especially for those smaller schools, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I just want to propose this question here to you. What's the most likely outcome of this? Because we all think pretty generally have the same opinion on it. Do you think Michigan gets a punishment, Harbaugh gets a punishment, a light punishment for both or one of them, or no punishment at all? I'm leaning towards no punishment at all for anything because, I mean, the initial scandal at the beginning of the year, he bought a cheeseburger. Like, who cares? That's fine. Like, whatever. But this one's a little more serious. I think NCAA is going to react too slow to it. College football playoff has already said that they don't care. The only thing that I can see happening is the Big Ten saying you can't be in our championship game because they're all separate entities. That'd be the only thing, but it's not going to happen, I don't think, this year. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I agree with you fully. I don't think anything's going to happen. I mean, it's going to kind of get pushed under the rug. I think they might eventually change the rules saying, hey, if we catch you, there'll be heavy punishments, possibly. But I mean, other teams steal play calls as well. So I doubt anything will really come of it.
Yeah, it's probably going to end up being like, if they get anything, it's going to be next season. They're not going to lose the money out of the college football playoffs, not having Michigan in there or having some big thing erupt with Harbaugh. They're not going to do that. It's too close to bowl season. Whatever, they'll do it next season if anything happens, but it'll probably be a slap on the wrist, and then they'll come up with some rule coming in next year. They'll produce heavy fines, and maybe it'll take you away from a bowl game something along those lines, but it ain't going to be anything this season.
Well, if they win the whole thing this year, the BCS playoff system, the whole thing, that could get rescinded. But I mean, the likelihood of that actually happening is very low.
I very seriously doubt that they will rescind it.
Well, what I'm going to say is actually, I think it's very low that they will win it in general. So, that's the only thing, because we have seen them go back, 10, 15 years in other sports like baseball and basketball, where they will take away a national championship somehow, some way. So there is that effect too.
Like
I'm sorry.
That doesn't matter, man. Like that, who cares at that point? Once you've already won it.
Like, I know, that's what I'm saying. So like they'll wait until like everybody who's been part of that is gone.
Yeah. I mean, once Reggie Bush won the Heisman, like he's still the 2005 Heisman. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Andrew, you got any extra thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and break the ice. What the hell is the difference? Carolina basketball does this shit all the time. I hate Carolina. I'm getting it out there and open for the Carolina. Can't stand them. But at the end of the day,
neither can Steve Smith.
It doesn't matter. They're just going to get swept under the rug. Hey, tell Steve Smith, him and Dave Dorn are now best friends.
I think Steve Smith likes anybody from Carolina, and he was repping the Panthers. Like, come on, guys.
Quote unquote,
anybody from Carolina.
Yeah, quote unquote, his head's out in the West.
All right. Well, I think we're all in agreement on that. I mean, it is what it is. I just think it's a really funny scandal, especially with the sunglasses comes out. Like, I don't really want to keep mentioning it, but I just think it's absolutely hysterical that a camera in the sunglasses, if that's really true, like, come on, guys. Like, a couple other quick notes, and we'll talk about the college football rankings that just came out. Brian Ferentz out at Iowa OC at the end of the season. He's resigned, but he's going to finish out the season. My question to you guys, we know there's been a historically bad offense. Iowa's not necessarily known for their offense outside of tight ends anyways. Does this mean that Kirk Ferentz is going to be on his way out as well?
No. I was doing some research on this today. Source Slate.com. I'll read an article about them. They kind of went over like the whole foundation of what happened at Iowa. So his dad is the head coach there. Kirk, he hired his son on in 2012 as an offensive line coach, right? Ever since then, people in Iowa have not been able to stand his son. They love his dad. The Hawkeyes nation absolutely loves his dad as a head coach because they've had such a great defense. They've had such great special teams. They're top ranked in these other portions. It's just been the offense. Now, is this going to tarnish how they see his dad as a head coach? Probably. It'll have a sliver. And now there's nothing going to happen to his dad. I don't think so. A lot of this, if you read back and kind of pay attention, it was the athletic director that was the reason why that his son even got a job in the first place, because he went back and signed on for him prior to going in because of the whole I forgot the exact rule there is about like family members and being all that jazz. But there's a rule about that. Well, the athletic director was the reason why that his son even got the job in the first place, endorsed him, all this and that. Athletic director ended up leaving. They got somebody else on, but grandfathered in, so he stayed on. 2017, he got brought up as an offensive coordinator, and since then, their offense has just took a down spike and has never came back up. Everybody in Iowa or that follows Iowa Hawkeyes want this man gone, and everybody is jumping for joy at this point because they need help, something serious. But as for his dad being the head coach there, nothing's gonna happen.
The only thing that I would say kind of hinders that is his dad is pretty old. I don't think Iowa's gonna let him go, but if his dad resigns and retires, I think that might be a little different. But I think you summed it up perfectly there. For sure.
I don't see him leaving. You know, and I'm going out on a limb with this after what I saw who got let go today out of the NFL. I wouldn't be surprised if they go after Josh McDaniel or something like that.
That could be interesting to revitalize his career, to be honest, because he's kind of been down in the dumps for 10 years now.
Let's say they hire him in the next 2 or 3 years. I was putting up points and they're contending again while the defense is still strong. Let's say they don't make him associate head coach and he takes over the program.
Fantasy booking.
You got a young face.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
That would be very interesting.
The chances of that happen, I think, might be slim, but that'd be fun to think about, though, Andrew. I didn't even think about that. Having McDaniels, who's supposed to be this offensive genius, come in.
And in the college ranks, you can be an offensive minded coach and win.
Yeah.
Very, very easy. Pro, a little different. You can't be straight offensive minded and win year in, year out. It's just not gonna. The Andy Reid's, that's why Andy Reid is who he is, but there's not a whole lot of very offensive minded coaches that win consistently year in and year out in the NFL. And college, it 100% does. You see many different examples in college where you got offensive minded coaches that come in and absolutely tear everybody up.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. First, college football rankings dropped last night. We'll go through 1 through 6. Ohio State 1, Georgia 2, Michigan 3, Florida State 4, Washington 5, Oregon 6. Now, I don't think there's any – I didn't know if you guys got a chance to look at the rankings. Looking at them now, I don't think 1 through 6 I think is probably perfectly rated, although I wouldn't put Michigan in there. They haven't played anybody, but they are undefeated. There are some interesting names here that I think are a little bit lower and higher. But out of the teams that have a path, what are your top 6? Do you think they got it right for the first go around?
I think I like it where it's at. I guess the only thing I'm concerned about is they're still favoring Texas. Texas has lost their starting quarterback for, I don't know how long he's going to be out, but last week, the backup quarterback, which was weird that it wasn't the Manning son, just did not look that great. I was not impressed.
So,
but, I mean, besides that, I like the rankings.
Malik Murphy is the backup, and he's not bad, but that was his first collegiate start as well. Yeah. You're right. I think they're better off with Ewers. I completely agree with that. But that defense and that offensive line, they're really good, man.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how far you drop them is my thing. 7 might be too high. I agree, but I don't think
Yeah.
you drop them too much further than that.
So
Yeah,
my
I don't think
question
they should
is
drop
that my question is that how do you feel about Texas coming in above an Oklahoma team that beat them a couple of weeks ago?
Oklahoma
That-
is the fakest team in the nation.
I agree with that.
Gabriel is god awful. Their defense is worse than a baby eating some fresh peas or something. Like, it's not going to come out right. So like they have not played anybody. They almost lost to Cincinnati. They lost to a backup quarterback in Kansas. They just everything went right for them during the Red River rivalry or shootout or whatever you want to call it. The game was really, really good. And I'm not saying they're not better than they were last year, but their defense still isn't there. Their run defense is god awful, and I'll get to that too later on when we do our picks. But they don't. Dylan Gabriel's not the answer. I've been saying this for a year now. The backup is way better.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. Go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying I definitely agree with that. I think Dylan Brooks. I'm sorry. Been watching some NBA lately and seeing him get crossed up the other night.
Yeah.
I think Dylan is overrated. I think when he was at UCF and having Gus Malzahn as his head coach was a good thing for him. But I think as soon as he stepped out of that, you kind of saw the true type of player he is. Yeah, he'll have a great game once in a while, but he's not the kind of guy that's going to go out there and drop, 4 TDs, 3 TDs, win you the game at a clutch 2-minute marker drive. I just don't see that happening with him. And I think, like you said, for me, it's Maryland and Penn State are the two fakest teams or the two most controversial teams in the top 12.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
Maryland's not in there, but
yeah.
Who?
You're talking about Missouri?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I meant to say Oklahoma and
Okay.
You said I'm sorry.
Penn State, Oklahoma.
Penn State. Okay.
You said Oklahoma. Yeah. I'm sorry. I that was my for
good.
later Penn State Maryland for my surprise of the night or surprise of the
So
week.
You're good.
my thing with top 6, I think 7 through 12, they're fine. They're gonna work their way out because Texas, Oklahoma, as long as they win out, they're gonna see each other in the Big 12 championship. Missouri has a very strong chance of. Well, no, I'm trying to think of who.
2.5 underdogs this week at Georgia.
Yeah, that'll be something to watch. I'll be honest with you. I'll have a take about that later.
Yeah,
but
I've been on Missouri's bandwagon all season, so I understand.
Yeah. My thing with the top 6, I think they're the correct teams, and I think they're good for now. My question is going to be because number one, I think Florida State should be higher than Michigan. Personally, I think they should be 3rd instead of 4th. But what's going to happen when Ohio State and Michigan play, and then Michigan loses? I think if Ohio State loses, they're still in, but I think if Michigan loses, they're going to be out of that top 4. And with the way
that's why I think they have them as in the top 3 because of that.
Well, I don't think this year, unless this is the perfect year for the 12-team playoff, and we don't have it, right? Because
exactly.
I think excuse me, guys. Sorry, I've been under the weather.
Okay.
I think that you're right that the schedule is going to sort the rest of the rankings out, but I can also make a case that if Alabama goes undefeated the rest of the way, they're not going to keep Georgia out, and Alabama's going to be Georgia's will be number 4. Michigan will be out if Michigan loses. So I can make that argument because they've won the last 2 years.
So my question to that then is, with Oregon being 6 and Washington being 5, number one, Oregon should be higher, but I think they did that on purpose. Because Washington, Oregon, they're going to be in the Pac-12 championship game. The way it's going right now, you're looking at them two being in the Pac-12 championship. So the winner of that, and as long as Michigan loses, or if Georgia possibly loses one of these games where they're kind of falling on their face a little bit every once in a blue moon, there's a good chance that one of them two can sneak into there, but it's also going to depend on who wins that Pac-12 championship. And that's where I'm kind of questioning.
They have to be undefeated because I will take a 1-loss Georgia team over 1-loss anybody else.
Yeah, and I agree. I 100% agree on that. As for Alabama, Even though the panel loves Alabama, they absolutely love them. They love putting them in there. And for
If
great
Alabama
reason.
wins out, they're in because you
Bottom.
can't have an SEC champion not in.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not
That's
wrong
true.
there.
That's true.
This is what I'm saying. This is the perfect for the 12 year. Andrew, do you have any thoughts on this? I mean, you pretty much called the top 6 when we talked on the phone, man.
I mean, to me, it could be a toss up between Ohio State and Georgia being 1 and 2. I think Ohio State has shown more resilience and played better ball. Not taking nothing away from Georgia's schedule or anything like that, but they went into Notre Dame, played a really good Notre Dame defense. Kyle McCord stepped up, made some great plays, and I think that's reflected on through. When you got Marvin Harrison Jr. on outside, you throw it within 30 yards, he's going to catch it. So to me, I think Ohio State is the more well-rounded team, and that's why they're 1. But I could have seen Florida State bumped up to 3.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think Dylan made a good argument there for Florida State to be a 3. They played more people. Michigan hasn't played anybody.
Well, so I've been listening a lot about it today. Until Saturday podcast, I listened to them a little bit and they were talking about this a lot and going pretty in depth. Because it's kind of hard to tell like who is that number 1 team in the nation right now, because it's actually pretty close. If you really look at it, and it's between everybody's looking at strength of schedule. Well, obviously strength of schedule don't mean shit. Nobody like the strength of schedule right now. It's not really like it's not there. They're not really taking it for what it's really worth. So you got to look at the other factors: quality of wins, who have they won against, who have they struggled against. Every team, for the most part, outside of Michigan, has 1 or 2 games they've kind of struggled with, or it was a close matchup. But Michigan ain't played nobody, so that's why they're still sitting at 3. And honestly, there are a lot of people don't think they should be sitting at 3. So it's been very interesting to see how the panel is making their decisions this year.
Well, Ohio State by far has the best wins, and I think that was what Andrew was kind of alluding to there.
Yeah.
They have the
Yeah,
best
and I can't argue that one. If you
Right.
really look down at their quality of wins, you can't argue that.
But it's not consistent because if it was, Florida State would be 3 to your point earlier.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's the first one. Trivia question, and we won't spend time on it. Who was the first number 1 college football playoff ranking team? Does anybody know?
The number 1 ranking team,
Yep, first ever college football playoff rankings back in 2014, I believe. Do you know
Michigan
who it was?
State.
Ohio State.
Nope.
Bama.
Nope.
No.
Mississippi State.
That's what it was. Yeah,
Right. They had
I
that
heard it
start.
earlier.
Yep.
They had
Yep.
that 7
Mississippi
start.
State. It's always a fun little trivia right there.
I heard that
Yeah.
earlier, and I try to remember it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into a section that we do every week, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to list off game of the week for last week, player of the week for last week, and then winners and losers. We'll all go one at a time with game of the weeks and so on and so forth. If you guys don't have any, no worries. I'm kind of putting it on the spot if so. We'll start with the game of the week. I'll go first. I had Oklahoma and Kansas. It was a really fun game to watch. Kansas quarterback. I love the dude is fast as lightning. I wish they would put him at receiver. I would love to see if he can catch the ball. But I would have loved to see Daniels play as well because I think they would have won by a lot more. And like I said earlier, I think Oklahoma is the fakest team in the nation. That was my game of the week. Andrew, what you got for game of the week, man? I know you were at a good one this Saturday.
Yeah, I guess that's what you want to call it. I had Kansas, Oklahoma, but also had Tulane and Rice, man.
Yeah.
Something about Tulane, they're just it's hard to go against them.
Best logo in
Kind of
college
like
football.
Kind of like Wyoming, man. They find ways to win even when they're not playing their best ball. So I picked Tulane and Rice as my number 1, and I had Kansas, Oklahoma as 2.
And do you guys know what the number 1 rule in college football is? You don't lose to food. So I'm glad that they beat Rice. So all right, Nick, why don't we go ahead with you, man? What was your game of the week if you got one?
So I had a couple of them. You guys both took those 2, and I was glad you did because those were 2 really great games. And I kind of came down to 2 that I've been I watched the crap out of, and it was USC and California, and then Oregon State, Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona's been on fire.
Insane. Yeah. especially at home. I don't think they've lost a season at home. And then Cal taking it all the way. I mean, Cal in their season are like 1 or 2 plays each game where they could be undefeated.
I agree.
You
They're
know? So
they're underrated team for sure.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're definitely right there. So I mean, and taking USC all the way down to the line with the 2-point conversion fail, lose by 1 basically at the buzzer type deal.
Yeah.
So those were my 2 games of the week, pretty much.
Aaron, what you got?
I got UNC and Georgia Tech. I'd expected UNC to have a bounce back at Virginia. I remember talking to my buddy at work. I'm like, hey, UNC's defense is kind of bad. He goes, shut up, dude. You have no idea. And then like a week later, I'm like, hey, you lost. He goes, shut up. I don't want to talk. I'm like, yeah, I knew I was right. UNC's defense wasn't that good, but I was surprised. Haynes King just played really good ball.
He
He's
should have
very
beat
good.
Louisville. They should have beat Louisville.
Yeah.
That was
Andrew
a fun
just
game.
went 6 to midnight when you said that. Just want to let you know that was the biggest smile he's had on this podcast yet. All right, Dylan, what you got, boss?
All right, so I had a couple. Y'all alluded to the USC Cal game. I also had personally Georgia Florida. I watched that game. It was pretty close going up into halftime, but second half Georgia decided they were going to flex their muscles on Florida. Yeah, I know. I had Florida
5-minute span and this happens with every single. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
Span with every Florida loss where 5 minutes they get scored on between 17 and 24 points, and it happened again, and then they just pooped the bed, man. Like it was awful.
Cause see, I've been really big on Graham Mertz all year. I like the kid. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he'll be a good pro quarterback. He fits a pro mold very well. College wise,
I think.
Yeah, he fits a pro style. So I've been really big on them, but Georgia decided they're gonna flex their muscles without their biggest weapon, which was very impressive for me. I also had Oregon, Utah. And I'll speak to this because Utah's defense has been really, really good this year. They've just been struggling because Cam Rising's gone.
Right.
And he's been out all year. So Oregon actually looked very good against Utah. And my other one was Miami, Virginia. Because Virginia's came out of nowhere and just started beating.
Yeah, Virginia's had some close games. They should not be playing as close as they have, man.
They're not that good. Now, and the thing is, too, they're playing with a freshman quarterback, true freshman quarterback.
Now, he's good, and he'll look great in Crimson Red next year when he transfers to Alabama. Nick Saban's going to get his hands on him because they don't have a quarterback. But but I agree with those, man. Like it was a surprising good week, man. We've had some really good weeks. There really hasn't been a dead week in college football this year, which is surprising to me. This is really reminding me of the 2007 season where it's anybody's season and there's probably about 8 teams that could win it. So player of the week, we'll go to you, Dylan. We'll get you to go back to back here. What you got for player of the week?
So I got one y'all probably didn't hear about. This guy's name is K'Ron Lynch Adams. He's a running back for UMass. I was looking out and I was like, I saw his stats. I was like, what in the world? Nobody talked about it. So they played Army last week. They beat Army 21-14. The guy had 34 carries for 234 yards and scored all 3 touchdowns for them. Nobody's talking about this kid. His man's about to hit 1,000 yards for the season with 9 touchdowns. He's at low key kind of going off, but they're UMass. Nobody's going to talk about UMass.
UMass has broken win records already this year. So that's a good pick. I like that. Aaron, what you got, man?
Mine's not as special or that special really at all. But I mean, Washington's quarterback. I remember listening to the Oregon game, and they're like, he's showing he's going to be the Heisman. And then Washington said, 4 touchdowns, another week. Oh, well, let's just keep playing football. I mean, Washington, the defense didn't look good. I mean, he's a hell of a quarterback. And
Andrew and I have been on Penix since day one, man. Like, he's so nasty.
I love watching him throw the ball. It's like, all right, it's not going to get there that fast. I'm like, damn, how did the receiver catch that? There's no way.
That his only scholarship offer was Indiana, and he transferred from Indiana and has made a career out of himself at Washington.
Yeah, hell of a player.
All right, Nick, what you got, man?
I'm going back to one of the schools I attended a couple of years ago. I'm going Caden Salter, quarterback out of Liberty. That man has taken everything he's learned under Malik Willis, under Bennett, And under Coach Hugh Freeze, who is now with Auburn, and then Jimmy Chadwell, who's now out of Coastal with Liberty. But he has stepped up every single week. And I think if I'm not mistaken, he is the only quarterback to have averaged a 60% or just under 60% completion rate, over 9 yards or 8.5 yards per carry, and averaging about 330 yards a game. And he's been dropping dimes like 40, 50 yards down the field. I mean, if you just watch those 2 Thursday night and Tuesday night games, he's definitely stepping up every single week. And that was what he did at Western Kentucky this past week.
Yeah, Liberty's always solid. Hopefully, he didn't learn too much from Hugh Freeze. We know how that will go. Andrew,
Gonna be a good time.
I'll tell you this: when I was down at Ole Miss, a couple years ago, and they were playing, Liberty was playing down there. Every single fan that saw us when we were wearing our Liberty stuff was like, "Man, we wish Hugh Freeze was back here before Lane Kiffin even had the offer."
Ooh. I don't know.
So that doesn't tell you anything what they expected down there.
Hey, you make a deal with the devil, you gotta lay in the bed that you have it with. So
Exactly. Yep.
Andrew, what you got? Player of the week. I hope you don't.
Well, just to speak with Hugh Freeze, I told you that was a great hire for Auburn. They know what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
Player of the week, I had two. The first one, man, is, and y'all can say what you want, but it's Carson Beck, 19 to 28, 315 yards, 2 TDs. He did not have Brock Bowers last week, and he's still steadily putting up Stetson Bennett numbers. I mean, he's throwing the ball. His completion rate is still high. And like I said, Florida's got a good defense. I mean, it's just to elaborate more on what you said. I mean, it's just they get with it, and then it's like Georgia flexes their muscles. Like Dylan said, it's an all-out brawl. You know what I mean? They're hungry for it. The second one, I got to go with my boy, man, KC Conception for NC State. God darn, if we didn't have him, I don't know what the hell we'd be doing in Raleigh right now. Probably getting ready to burn the whole stadium down. I'm glad he actually came out last week and said on a podcast, Pack Pride's podcast, that he didn't know where the rumors were coming from, but he committed to NC State and he will remain at NC State. So thank God we got him coming on back next year along with Jonathan Taylor and some more guys. But man, to watch the kid in person is just unreal. His quickness, his cuts, his agility, his way. No, for a true freshman, I mean, he was National True Freshman of the Week. So kudos to him, man. He's playing his ass off, and hopefully it continues.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't say your boy Ladd McConkey, because you called that last week, but I don't have him as the player of the week. My player of the week is a guy named Ollie Gordon, running back from Oklahoma State. He's had the last 2 games is 2 200-yard games. He had I think 3 touchdowns last week. He's the only good part of Oklahoma State's offense, and Oklahoma State the last couple of weeks has looked great because they started giving him the ball. Their losses at the beginning of the season, he wasn't playing. So Ollie Gordon, keep that name out there. If he keeps the run that he's on, because they only have 1 Big 12 loss, they may get to the Big 12 championship game. If there's a couple 2-loss teams and 1-loss teams, Heisman might be calling if he keeps pulling out these 200-yard games. I know it's a quarterback award, and Carson Beck, Michael Penix is up there, but I don't know, man. Ollie Gordon looks good. Next, we'll do winners of the week. This can be any kind of winner. Can be teams, can be players, coaches, fans, whatever. So my winners are Kansas. Obviously, big win. Huge for Lance Leipold. I'm be surprised if somebody doesn't try to pull him out of Kansas this year. Big Ten fans not named Michigan. I think they're a winner because of all the stuff that Connor Stallions is pulling, man. Because we just keep learning. We keep learning the crap that keeps coming out. And then Ollie Gordon is my other winner. Dude has found a good home. Oklahoma State's not a bad team. I shit on Mike Gundy earlier this year. I went to Oklahoma State for a year for graduate school. I was a fan of them last year. I still like their uniform, stuff like that. But he's come out of nowhere, man. And Gundy just finds a way to win. I don't know. But those are my winners of the week, man. Just quick and simple. Andrew, who you got for winners of the week?
Probably going to kill me for the first one, only because I was so tired of hearing it. But JMU, once again, is the NCAA's team of the year for right now, not going to a bowl game. But kudos to them up there in the mountains, still playing some good ball. And winner of the week, I've got to go with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, that's a huge win for their program being so young.
Mm.
All right, Aaron, what you got, man?
I got Georgia Tech as well, but my big winner is Georgia in general.
Yeah,
Because Brock Bauer was on, I think, hard to be a Heisman.
That's
Just
what we
because
had a whole conversation about that.
Oh, for sure. We did
Georgia's
too
entire
last week.
offense was all right. Let's have him triple team. Let's make him run the ball. Hey, look, he got like 10 yards. That's pretty neat. Let's throw the ball. Oh, he caught it over 2 guys. Well, that's pretty neat. All right, can you throw the ball? We haven't tried that yet. Oh, he hurt himself. I mean, Georgia was able to actually win without him, which is impressive to me because he was the offense.
We talked about that last week, that the like player of the week to watch after our game picks, we do that as well. And I said anybody on Georgia's offense to step up because Brock Bowers was their offense. Andrew's been on his bandwagon since the beginning of the season to win the Heisman. And it's a quarterback award, but you're exactly right, dude. Like he was Georgia's offense, man. He was putting up 100 some odd yards as a tight end.
Mhm.
Dude's gonna be a top 5 pick, and it's well deserved.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Nick, what you got, man?
For the first one, I would have to say Air Force. Going undefeated so far.
So
I don't know.
They're
Keep
so
or
good.
8-0, keep trucking. But then my overall winner, because coming out of the American Athletic Conference for undergrad at ECU, is the American Athletic Conference. Every year we're going to get to see the Navy Army game now because Army is officially a part of the American Athletic Conference.
That's a big win.
Go America!
Yeah.
That might be the
That-
next
that's
big G5. That might be the best G5 conference now.
Yeah,
It was
I
Mountain West for a
think it
while,
was
but
even
if they're
couple years
up
ago.
there, unless Oregon State, Washington State go to Mountain West, they'll probably be the best G5.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong about that one at all.
All right, Dylan, what you got, man? And then go ahead and give us your losers once you're done with it.
I got you. So Georgia was my first one that I put. I mean, not Georgia, Georgia Tech. I'm sorry. Then showing what they did against UNC, that was very impressive. One of my big ones is Louisville. And this is why.
Yeah.
They beat a Duke team that's got a top 5 ranked defense in the country, and they shut them down to nothing with Riley Leonard in. Now he's a banged up Riley Leonard, but a banged up Riley Leonard is still better than their backup.
Yes.
Be real. Their backup's good, but he still ain't
No,
Riley
he's
Leonard.
not. No, he's
He's young. He's so young.
not.
But yeah, he is very young. I think the kid will be good. Just give him some time. Especially under Elko. He's amazing coach. I've been on his high horse all year because I like him as a coach. But Louisville shutting out Duke completely and then dropping 23 points against a Duke team that's like that held a high-powered Florida State offense to that number as well.
Yeah.
So you got to think about that. So Louisville's one of my big ones, and also Kansas. Jason Bean decided to put on the Jets against a very sorry Oklahoma defense. And I like the kid. I was really big on Jalen Daniels earlier in the year, and then whenever he got hurt, they brought this kid in. I thought he was pretty decent, but he's showing he's better than what's advertised. And he's done very good for his resume so far this year. So I've been really excited to watch him. So he's one of my winners as well. As for losers, Florida, unfortunately, they laid flat, and Georgia was allowed to do whatever they wanted to them right after the second half. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. They gave up on that game, and they should have never done it. Washington was a big one too. They won this week, but allowing a Stanford team that is one of the worst in the Pac-12 to score 33 points on them and let them stay in that game, that's not a top 5 school in the country. Stanford sucks. I'm sorry, but to allow them to do that, that's embarrassing to me. And my last one, I actually didn't write this down, just thought about it. The fans in California have to sit there and watch that protesting BS. I feel sorry for them having to deal with that because
I agree.
there's no room in college football for that.
No.
Period.
No,
What was the protest about?
There was a professor that got placed under he got suspended indefinitely for something stupid. So the students were sitting out there as a protest saying that they shouldn't have suspended this professor.
Oh, okay.
At least it isn't political, or we hope that it isn't. Because
At least we hope it's
first
not.
guess, but
Yeah.
especially with California there as well. Yeah, no, with Florida, I made a bold prediction at the beginning of the season that they'd go 8-4. They're 5-3 right now. I think they have a shot, but it's a very, very, very slim shot at it. So we'll see how that goes as well. All right, Nick, who you got? What's your losers, man?
One of my biggest losers. I was actually just pulling it up now. I see. In my opinion, one of the biggest losers is UNC, and that's hard for me because I'm a Carolina fan. So, that just happens. You know, it's part of life. Then
the
If
UNC
you
acceptance.
guys are listening on the podcast, poor Nick just got a thumbs down and 2 big smiles from Aaron and Andrew right there.
funny thing is, you know what the really funny thing is? It's like state fans always want to say that they're at UNC's level and Duke's level every year, but they're always down there with like ECU consistently.
Wow.
I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that for my take. Don't you?
We're gonna start talking about basketball halfway through
I
our
was told to
podcast,
start
guys.
Don't you start. Don't you start, Donovan.
I was told to
chime in
start
when I
stuff
get it.
if I had the opportunity. I was told to start stuff, so I was like, okay, I
For
guess I
sure.
might as well.
Yeah, no, we
Go
like
ahead and
the
go with
good
it.
banner, man. Andrew's a team player, but his hate
Am
for
I-
Carolina is pretty deep. So
Am I allowed to say I'm offended opposed to that? Jesus.
No, because it shouldn't be offensive for ECU people, but it should be offensive for
We're
NC
all
State
three of
people.
us are ECU people. We should all be offended over that.
well, you
I
guys
don't
aren't
care
gonna like my
about
takes on
ECU.
ECU when
I
I get
know.
to my
I
box.
hate ECU. I don't care.
Yikes.
-90.
All right, Ann, what you got for your losers, boss?
My biggest loser is Oklahoma's defense. It's like watching 5-year-olds run around the field with mascots. But the mascots, just like some of the times you watch it, beat up the little kids, and you're like, wow, this is pretty entertaining.
I like that.
It's-
I like that.
I don't know how to describe it, dude. Watching Oklahoma is just, you're like, oh, the offense has a moment. The defense is like, how do we tackle? What is defense?
Yeah, and
Do we
it's surprising
play
for a Brent Venables team too. But they are leaps and bounds better than they were last year. Their defense is so.
Well, to comment on the Brent Venables thing, just to get some opinions on this, I was kind of curious to get y'all's take on this. When he was at Clemson, he recruited really well on the defensive side.
Hmm.
All right. He's now in Oklahoma, where he's close to Texas. He's close to Florida. How he is not recruiting the Brian Breeses and the AJ Terrells,
I actually
how he's not getting them to Oklahoma is really kind of confusing to me.
I
Not to
actually
get
have
off
an answer
topic,
for
off
that.
the loser subject, but
So if you look at the top 50 players in Florida, at least, Billy Napier has gotten 15 of the top 50. Norvell's gotten 10 of the top 50, and Cristobal's gotten like 7 of the top 50. To where 3 years ago, there was only 10 of the top 50 players in Florida staying in state. So
Yeah.
the Florida schools are recruiting very well. Sark has done an amazing job of recruiting in Texas as well. Jimbo's always going to get his people in Texas, but that's not to say you're right, though, Andrew. If you know Brent Venables, why is he not recruiting at least Texas better? I don't know.
That was a really good
yeah, I was.
question.
All right, Andrew, who's your losers, boss? But that's a fun conversation to maybe talk about in the offseason is like with the NIL and some better recruiting coaches in some bigger schools, who's going to suffer the most?
Mm-hmm.
So for my losers this week, I had Utah. Man, without Cam Rising, that whole team is just different to me. I just think that they're getting by the skin of their teeth. And it finally got shown a little bit this week to me. The second one, I got to go to Oregon State. I expected them to really, really make a very good case for the Pac-12, but the Pac-12 to me is still a 2-horse race, but I thought they were going to be in the mix.
Yep.
And the last one, man, I got to go with the Tar Heels out of Chapel Hill. I know the fans down there, they are screaming for basketball season because of football. Dave Dorn's had their number the last 4 years. Remind you, Nick.
I mean,
So
it happens. Like I
it'll be a
said,
fun game.
that's my
again,
take.
man.
I mean, when we have down years, we kick y'all, you guys kick us. I mean, it's
It's
just
a
part of the
fun
game. But
rivalry.
It is.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that's always
it is.
that's always how it is.
I mean, whether it's in Chapel Hill or at State, I mean, it's it is what it is, and it's just a fun time out there, no matter what.
I'll tell you,
Oh
last year's
yeah,
game,
100%.
last
That's
year's
probably one of my
game,
favorite rivalries ever, right there in football. Is them
la-
two right there because
last
the
year's game
fans
was one of the
when
games of
they
the
go
year
into
for me, to
Keenan.
be honest.
Oh yeah, dude. When they go into Keenan, man, I mean it's just rowdy. I will never go to Keenan. I won't do it. But when they come to Chapel Hill, I mean it's just it's all out. Go to hell, Carolina. I mean Carolina's try. I love it. I think it's great for the
Great
kids
sport.
playing ball, man. I mean they feed off the energy.
Well, it helps with recruiting in state for both schools and even for Duke and Wake Forest because they see that, okay, hey, if you go in state, you'll have a chance to play against dudes you grew up with.
Yeah. And my thing
Oh
is,
yeah, one
now
hundred
that Mac
percent.
Brown's there, they're gonna have a good offense every year. It's just,
Oh,
can they get a defense in place? And with NC State, if Dave Dorn can be anything but average, whether above or below,
NC
we'll
State's
see
not gonna fire
anything
him
too.
No,
Should have fired him
No,
because they're
5
not
years ago.
going to.
they
That's what
should
I'm
have
saying.
got rid of him. after his
100%.
They should got rid of him after his
100%. But
second year.
that's another thing too.
Well, he just kept his
Exactly,
job
and
for
that's
another
another
3
thing
years by
too.
beating Clemson.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, 100%. But that's the thing too is Dave Dorn. He doesn't, he's not energetic to me on the sidelines like a Mac Brown who'll take his headset off and throw it on the ground or Elko. They're up by 10.
Yeah.
He's screaming down the defensive coordinator's throat on why they're not doing this. I mean, like I said, Dorn saved his job. I mean, kudos to him. He tied Earl Edwards for the most wins in program history. But after a while, man, if the offense is still going to suck like it is, he's not going to be there much longer.
What you guys need to do is
Yeah.
just throw
And I will make this statement right now. Carolina will come into Carter Finley and embarrass our ass if the offense does not get going. And you mark my words.
what y'all need to do is just throw the bag at Bill Cowher and just have some good defensive team. So that's all I'm saying. For my losers of the week, I have Oklahoma, like I've already said 3 times. The fakest team in the nation, and then Clemson. I don't love Dabo, but Clemson would not be Clemson without Dabo, and he has the right to have a down season. But now he's starting to get chippy with the fans. I don't know if you saw the interview that he had on his radio show this week. Clemson's
Yeah,
down
but I did
bad,
like.
man, and their
I
fans
like
are
what he
just a
said
bunch of
though.
babies.
I like what he said though. The fans are too
No.
used to winning.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think Dabo's in the wrong, but when you're arguing with fans on the phone, you're having a down season.
Yeah.
Or a
Yeah.
bad drink. One
All
of
right,
the
well,
two.
let's go ahead and get into the picks of the week. We got 10 games here. Just an update on record, boys. I'm at 64 wins, 31 losses. Andrew's at 61 wins, 34 losses. My locks of the week are 55 and 45. So what we do, boys, is we go through 10 games, just give a quick take on it and your pick, and we'll be good to go. If you don't have a take on it, just give your pick. So we'll start here. We'll start at Clemson since we just talked about them. Notre Dame at Clemson. Notre Dame's favored by 3 points. Clemson has 4 losses. Me personally, I'm a Notre Dame fan, but at the same time, Notre Dame looked really, really good last week. They had a rough 4-game schedule. Clemson, I think, after that 4th loss, they're going to struggle to find wins going forward. I have Notre Dame winning this one and probably winning it big. Andrew,
So,
or Dylan,
oh,
go ahead.
my bad.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I
Go
got
ahead, go ahead.
So I think it is kind of interesting just because Clemson is coming off the loss that they did, and they didn't look good at all. They couldn't get anything going together. Notre Dame has been up and down this year. They did have a good win last week, but we've seen it nonstop throughout the year. They're hot and cold. And then going into Death Valley will be very interesting. I think Notre Dame will edge it out, but I don't think it's going to be by very much at all, to be honest with you.
I also am on the Notre Dame train. I don't like Notre Dame. I really don't like Clemson. But I mean, Notre Dame is one of those, let's go up a hill, fall off a cliff. Notre Dame is going to win. I don't know if they're going to win by a ton. I think it'll be an interesting game, but Notre Dame is definitely going to beat Clemson. Clemson is kind of in the Dabo pot of like, maybe next year, not this year, maybe next year. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think Notre Dame's going to win. I think it's going to be between a 3 and 10 point or 3 and 7 point spread on how much is going to be a victory. So that whole 10 point swing could be in play. I do think it's going to come down to the last 4 minutes of the game. It's going to be the decision maker and who wins that game.
Yeah, I got to go with Nick on that as well. I think it's going to be closer than what I don't know what the spread is, but I think it's going to be closer. 3.
Notre Dame.
I'm going to say, I'm going to take Notre Dame by 10 at the max, but here's why.
Yeah.
I don't know if Will Shipley is playing in this game. I don't know the extent of what happened last week as far as his injury. Klubnik, once Notre Dame's defense gets pressure to him, he's like he rattles. He's not comfortable. I saw it firsthand last week, and I thought very highly of Klubnik coming into the season. To me, I just don't think the offense is where it needs to be, like an old Clemson team. But I don't think that defense is going to get embarrassed too badly in Death Valley.
No.
So Notre Dame's pass defense is one of the best in the nation. Rush defense is fair. I mean, they held Ohio State, who's pretty good running team, to minimal rush yards, I would say. I don't say they shut them down, because that was just a really good defensive game. I just don't think that they're in it, man. I don't think Clemson is in it anymore this year, because they know that they're out of it. But I mean, you guys all made valid points here. Next, we'll go to Texas, Kansas State at Texas, both playing backup quarterbacks. Texas is favored by 4. We have Kansas State. We had the rise of the freshman, and I can't think of his name. And they benched Will Howard, which was surprising because I love Will Howard. And then he's versus Malik Murphy. Maybe we'll see on Arch Watch. Andrew, who you got for this one, man?
I'll be honest with you. I took Kansas State on this one. To me, I think this is when Malik Murphy finally gets a taste of a real good defensive front. And I know it's kind of contradicting because Texas has a really good defensive front as well. But something about me is telling me that I just don't think the backup quarterbacks for Texas are too confident right now because they relied so much on Ewers. So I got Kansas State for the upset.
Interesting.
I kind of agree with him as well. Kansas State has a high chance. I'm not 100% sure on Texas. After hearing you say, you convinced me so quickly, which is bad. But I don't like Texas since they lost to Alabama. They beat Alabama. But I mean, like I said, last week, Texas quarterback, I wasn't 100% sold on him. Their running game, good. Their defense, it depends what defense you get. Because some games you watch Texas defense, you're like, wow, I'm not sure. I mean, we're just going to have to see. I think it's going to be a very close game.
So you have Kansas State as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, what you got?
Nick.
Okay. It's almost torn down the middle. I mean, I don't think, what was the spread on it? Like 6.5 or 4.5?
Texas favored by 4.
Yeah. I mean, with them playing in Texas, that's going to give the advantage to them. Other than that, I don't think there's really a whole lot of an advantage play because obviously Quentin Ewers isn't playing, as everybody has said so far. But their running game is really good. So, I mean, that could be the one thing that kind of keeps Texas in the game. Kansas State, man, I've not been sold on them all year. I'm just, they have good key pieces, but I don't think they put it all together yet. Who knows? This could be that game that they put it all together. I do think it's going to be a close game. I think you're looking at maybe 14-17 or 17-21. But I'm thinking Kansas State just by a hair.
That's interesting.
So Donovan, before you read too far into this, and I see Nick looking at the computer. I mean, not Nick, Dylan. So I just want to go ahead and say this. I know, wrong one. Yeah, Kansas State has lost the last 5 or 7. But if you look at the previous matchups, it was only by 7 or 10 points.
Yeah.
And I think I know what you're doing. I'm not dumb. I've known you too long.
Billy, what you got, man? I'm loving this right now. Please say you're picking Kansas State, brother.
It's interesting because I was looking at that, and I'm also looking at. So last week, Kansas State went against a Houston team that almost beat Texas. That's the number one thing that I'm looking at. Texas barely edged that game out. So the last couple of weeks, Kansas State's beat Houston 41-0. They beat TCU 41-3. Texas Tech 38-21. They barely lost to an Oklahoma State team, which, like you alluded to earlier, is actually pretty good. They're very low key about it, but they're pretty good. So it's tough because, like, I want to take Texas here. I want to say Murphy comes in. He's had another week to be able to get structured, get ready for this game. And he's got a lot of weapons that he can sit back on. That offensive line is still pretty good. That defense is still their defense. And they're going against a freshman that if they can get a lot of pressure on, it could change the game definitely. And I think that's what Texas is going to do. Y'all gonna hate me. I'm gonna go with Texas here, but I think it's gonna be up to that last drive. I think it's gonna be so close. Yeah. And here's another take too. I think this game is gonna show a lot of other Big 12 matchups going into the future, especially going to the Big 12 championship, because I think Texas is still getting the championship. It'll show a blueprint of how to beat them going into that game. Because Oklahoma, that was a fluke. I'm sorry, I'll say it right here. Oklahoma beating them, that was a fluke. But in this game right here, I think Kansas is going to really show how to beat Texas. Even though I think Texas is going to win, but I think they're going to show how to.
Andrew, do you remember our Big 12 preview, and which non-quarterback did you say would have a shot at the Heisman from this conference? Because I want everybody to remember this name. He's a receiver out of Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, James Worthy.
Xavier Worthy. Remember Xavier Worthy
Xavier
and Jonathan Brooks. I think you guys are right. Malik Murphy did not look great last week. He gets a week to settle in. I think that's good. If not, it's going to be the Arch Manning show in the second half. But I think this game, Malik Murphy is going to do enough that's going to give him enough buzz for the transfer portal, because we know it's Arch's team next year.
He gets paid way too much not to play.
I think he had a bad game last week, and you guys are exactly right. But he has all the talent in the world. He's a big-bodied guy. He kind of reminds me of Joe Milton, which kind of scares me. But I think he's good enough to win it. I like Kansas State. I like the freshman, but they did my boy Will Howard dirty, so I'm gonna have to go with Texas. Next game we have is Texas A&M and Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 3 points. Texas A&M on a little bit of a slide. They had a good win. They won last week, I believe, but not a bad team. Backup quarterback. It's going to be in the Grove. This is definitely a game that Lane Kiffin loses, but I think he's turning it around this year. I think he wins this game. Give me Ole Miss for this one.
I got the same thing. You go ahead, Nick. You go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead, Aaron.
I think Ole Miss is going to win it by a lot. I don't think Jimbo Fisher, I don't know what the heck is going on. Like, he came from Florida State, like, oh, he had so many good years at Florida State. He's going to be he's going to have a great team. He's going to make great teams. It's just, A&M hasn't really looked soundly on defense or offense.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy compared to what Jimbo does. I mean, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin can only do one thing, and one thing he's really good at, offense. He loves to score. There is nothing else. Defense, it may happen, it may not. But offense, he likes to let them play ball to the fullest extent. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really hard to play down there in the Egg Bowl. That stadium is designed way differently than almost every stadium I've been to. But I think Lane Kiffin gets his guys ready. I think they have a great quarterback. I think they have a great running game. Their offensive line is not terrible. Their defense is starting to pick up again after kind of a slow couple of weeks, or it might have been like 2 weeks ago. They had like a slow couple of days. But no, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, definitely hotty toddy for sure.
So whenever Wegman got hurt, I was quoted whenever I saw Max Johnson play. He looks pretty good. I know he is a transfer. He's got a little bit of experience. He does look pretty good. It's exactly like we were talking about. Jimbo, yeah, I don't know what's going on. He's off of his meds. He's here or there, and sometimes he's not.
I'm 100% with that. I can see it. Honey, was I supposed to take him today? I forget. Let's go play some ball. Exactly what happened.
He's in the
dude.
sandbox.
The sandbox. Just playing around with little toys.
I'm a big fan of Jackson Dart, and I think Quinshon Juggins is a freaking. He's a beast, man. He's been doing really, really good this year. I'm going to go with Ole Miss in this. I don't think they're really going to have that much of an issue with Texas A&M just because they've been so inconsistent throughout the year.
I have Ole Miss circled, but for some reason, and I hate Jimbo, this is a game where Jimbo will show up and everybody's like, "Oh my God! All right, well here's Texas A&M again." But
He's back.
Man, Jackson Dart is throwing the lights at the ball. That offensive line is starting to play really well. And the defense, to me, it just depends on what defense you're going to get from Ole Miss. As long as the linebackers and the secondary can hold up, Max Johnson can sling the rock. And he's very precise with it. But I got Ole Miss, man. That's at home. I think Lane Kiffin gets another boost, and I think Ole Miss is getting ready to start turning some major heads going forward.
Yeah, I mean, Max Johnson also has his brother, that brother connection. Always a fun thing to watch as well. Mizzou at Georgia, we can run through this one pretty quickly because I don't think we're going to pick Mizzou here. Georgia, showed the SEC that they're still the big man on campus. I'm having Georgia. Georgia's favored by 15.5. Are we all in favor of Georgia unless you guys have a specific take for it?
Nope.
Shut up,
Nick.
Nick.
Okay.
Why?
I'm sold.
Mizzou.
I think they have a great quarterback. Okay, he's not elite yet, but he's getting there. I think Cooks is pretty good. He's on the rise there. I think they have a great foundation set up there, and I think without Brock Bowers, their defense might be able to not shut down Georgia all the way, but they could do some damage to Georgia.
So I've got a take on that later on in the show about Georgia's offense, but I think Georgia, they could be on upset alert this week.
Okay.
I think there's a possibility.
Yeah,
I am not. No. Let me finish.
This is one.
I'm on Georgia. I like Georgia. I like Carson Beck. I like what they've done with that offense. I think their defense is under par for a typical Georgia defense, and I think that's why everybody is really scared to pick Georgia. I don't think Mizzou is going to beat them this week, but I think they're really going to give them a test. I like Brady Cook. I like Brady Cook a lot. I think he could be a pretty good transfer going into the NFL. I think he is a good pro-style quarterback going the next couple of years.
You guys haven't even mentioned my boy yet on Mizzou.
Dude, Eli Drinkwitz,
Luther Bird in the third, man.
Dude,
that's true. That's very true.
Dirty.
That's true. I like Georgia in this too. But I think this is a game that you're going to want to watch this weekend.
Yeah, this is going to be
one
of those back.
Pulled out what I said for Florida last week and watch them get their butt stomped in. It's at Samford, man. It's tough.
Yeah,
that's true.
I got Georgia.
If it was at Missouri, I'd be a little bit more hesitant, I think.
You got to remember that Florida Georgia game. That's in Jacksonville. That's not in.
I know. I know.
Big difference too for Florida. Florida's really good in the swamp. They're not really good on the road.
No,
and even though it's in Florida,
you're exactly right.
So.
All right, Aaron, what you got? Georgia or Mizzou?
They're trying to make me convince me to Mizzou, but you just look at the schedule. They haven't played anybody that great. Georgia's going to do what Georgia does and says the dog's just going to pee. And that's what the dog's going to do. It's going to pee all over Mizzou. It's just going to be – I don't think it's going to be like a shootout unless, Mizzou's like, our defense can't stop the run. I mean, passing, I can't really see that. But they're going to run the ball, and Georgia's just going to say, all right, we're just going to play smash mouth ball. That's literally how the game's going to
I
go.
love how the Alabama fan is rubbing his temples like he has a headache because he knows that Georgia
He doesn't want to
defense
say
is
it.
finally
He
coming
doesn't-
to
What do you mean why I have a headache? No one likes Georgia, but I have to.
He doesn't want to say it.
The Georgia defense is finally coming into form, and he knows that Alabama's going to verse him in the SEC championship game, and he's not going to like what happened.
I'm going to like it. Alabama's going to win, damn it.
All right, Andrew, what you got, boss?
I got UGA, man. I just think Georgia, they're at home. I think it's going to be some old school football. Georgia's going to establish the run real early. And then I think they're going to let Carson Beck open it up with some RPOs, and he's just going to start torching that secondary. I'm going to save the rest for later on in the show, but I got Georgia.
Their running back has been coming into form the last couple of weeks, too.
Well, the problem is
100%.
their first, second, and third string are hurt, so they're playing walk-ons, man. Yeah, it's going to take them 7 weeks to get ready. I agree, but I mean, you guys are right. Like he is coming into form. I do like Nick's take though. Like Cook isn't bad, but their defense just isn't there yet. I think if Mizzou has a chance, Burden has to have 200 to 300 yards.
Oh,
and
easily.
I'm not sure he will.
Well, it's not every day you're going to get Roquan Smith and all them coming back to Georgia.
Right. I mean, I like the take, man, and it's bold for it. I was on Florida last week. I picked Georgia, but I was on Florida to win. or cover, but all right, next game. Penn State at Maryland. Penn State's favored by 8.5. They didn't look good again against Indiana last week. Penn State didn't. Maryland's a formidable team, man. Tua's cousin. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce his last name. He can sling. He can sling the ball. They have some receivers, man. I just don't know if their defense is going to hold up. I'm a big Drew Aller fan. I thought he was a dark horse Heisman. It's his first year starting as a sophomore. Like, they're a year early. They're going to be amazing next year, Penn State is. But I was high on them this year because of how they won. I think they get back to it here in preps for Michigan because I still think they can beat Michigan. I'm going Penn State, but I think Maryland might cover.
You can go ahead, Aaron.
I don't like Penn State. I like Maryland, but I don't think they can do it. Penn State is like when they played Ohio State, it was like playing in a sandbox once again. The kids are just throwing sand at each other, it's getting in everybody's eyes. And they're like, it burns. And then you look over like, oh, the Penn State kid's still eating the sand and playing with it.
Well, I have a question for you from that game though. If Marvin Harrison was in Penn State, does that change the game? Because I think it does. I think that was the difference.
Yeah, he's just an unrealistic receiver. But I mean, still,
that's what I think. That's what I think Penn State is missing.
Yeah, they don't have the Johan Dotson. They don't have.
I'm with Aaron 100% on this. I like.
You guys got to remember too.
I'm picking Penn State, but dude, outside of the running game, Drew Aller does not have that explosive weapon like a Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think that's the thing that kills them is they don't have a big receiver that's going to be physical enough to go up and contest for some catches, to go up and make a grab when you really need it.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron, you said you were on Penn State, but you're cautioned about it.
Yeah, I'm cautious about it, but I think Penn State's still going to win because it's just going to be, just like you said, it's just going to be a run game, and that's just how it's going to be.
I think they have a two-headed monster, and they really haven't had a chance to use it because they know that they don't have any receivers. So,
yeah.
All right, Nick, are you on Penn State as well?
No, actually not. I'm actually on the side. I think after watching Ohio State play against both of them, that offense for Maryland arguably might be one of the most slept on offenses in the country.
Yep, I agree.
Even though he has 6 interceptions, Tagovailoa does, he still has 19 TDs.
He's good, yeah.
He has it all, and he has receivers. His line is holding up. His defense, obviously, like you said earlier, is the only thing that's kind of holding him back as a team that could be in the top 25 consistently. but I think it's going to be. I think you'll see Penn State jump to an early lead, like 10-0, and then all of a sudden you're going to see Tagovailoa come in and like just start slinging the rock everywhere. And I think you're going to end up seeing like a 28-14, 28, 30 or 31 to like 21 type game.
So you got Maryland and Penn State.
I got Maryland. Yep.
That wouldn't be the most shocking thing this week.
No, not
Right.
at all.
It's going to be about.
Can I make one more statement before it goes to Dylan?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would not be surprised, and I do not have this under an upset alert, anything. I'll show you my page. I will not be surprised, though, if this turns into another UNC Georgia Tech game.
Yeah, I can see that.
That could happen, yeah.
Like Nick said, jump out to a big lead, and then I think at halftime, once the adjustments are made, I think something's going to happen.
And I can't remember the coach for Maryland. I know what he looks like and think what he looks like, but I can't remember his name. He was the coach of Tua down in Alabama. So he has that national championship experience as a coach. So he can make adjustments on the fly pretty well, I believe.
Yeah. All right, Nick, who you got, boss?
You mean Dylan?
Or Dylan. I'm so sorry. Yep.
I like Drew Aller. Young kid, 19 years old, taking the reins like he's done. He's impressed me so far.
Yeah.
If my 2 cents means anything, but
yeah,
I like the kid. I think he can be pretty good. And usually I don't like Penn State quarterbacks. I've never really been very big on any Penn State quarterbacks because they all play there until they're 30 years old. At least it seems like that. But I think what you're gonna have to really look at it for, like, if it does become a shootout, I think Maryland does have the edge there. I don't think it's just like you said, whenever it comes down to it, they don't have a go-to receiver that can make a big catch. Running game has been all right, a little bit there, here and there, but it's not like super strong to where they can really rely on it. I think if Penn State's defense can hold Maryland to under 30 points, I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue for Penn State to win this. But if it does come down to a shootout, I've got Maryland in this, but I'm going to go Penn State. I think their defense is going to be able to hold them enough, even though they're going to be in Maryland, and that's going to make a really big difference. But yeah, I got Penn State in this.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that as well. Okay, Oklahoma at Oklahoma State, the last bedlam that we have on schedule. It's a shame. One of the best rivalries, I think, in sports. Oklahoma's favored by 6, which is surprising to me. I'll go ahead and get my takeoff, man. Ollie Gordon, another 250-plus yards running, and Oklahoma State wins big. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I will be surprised. Look to take the over in this as well. But I have Oklahoma State here winning this one. Just because I don't like Oklahoma. Dylan, what you got, man?
So looking at it, Oklahoma State's last 5 wins, their shortest margin, points wise, has been 29 points. And they're going against a peewee defense. So Ollie Gordon, he is the leading rusher in the NCAA right now. I think this is just going to be like a stat stuffer for him. I'm looking at 150 plus for him this game. I do have Oklahoma State in this. I think, Dylan Gabriel can do all that he wants, but he's still not going to keep up with this lackluster defense.
Right. Good pick.
I'm always on the same thing. Oklahoma's defense is so bad. I mean, their offense has moments where it shines, but defense, I've said that every single time we talk. They're like, Oklahoma might have a defense this year. Then you watch one game, you're like, it's called a defense. It's not going to be a defense. Oklahoma's going to lose. Oklahoma State the whole way.
I think you see a 25-point victory for Oklahoma State.
Oh
yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
Okay. All right.
That's why we call him an Lebanese stallion.
I mean, playing at home, they have a defense that's at least halfway decent, if not better than halfway decent. I mean, it's the same reasons that you guys were saying, but I think that running game is going to chew up so much clock that Dylan is not going to have enough time to really get going.
can see that.
Are you gonna save the graphic, Andrew, or are you gonna go with us and come to the dark side?
I don't see Brent Venables losing 2 in a row. I got Oklahoma in this one.
Well, and that's what I was
Well-
wondering. And do you guys believe in get back games? Because this could be a get back game for Oklahoma.
You would think that, but then you watched UNC, they didn't have a get back game. So, and I don't think. I don't.
I would say not a get back game because rivalry games are the hardest to have a get back game in.
That's very
100%.
true.
100%.
And it's the last rivalry, and it's not because of Oklahoma State leaving. So Oklahoma State wants to win.
I think the thing that's really going to help Oklahoma State is that home field advantage.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep.
Snowboarder's a crazy place to play, man. They get them paddles going on the side.
Oh, they're gonna get a paddle, all right.
That's like Nick said, 25 points, baby. Going down.
All right, next game we have on here, Virginia Tech at Louisville. The reason why we put this on the game is Virginia Tech is tied for second in the ACC, and they beat the brakes off of Syracuse last week. Like the score is closer than it should have been. Andrew texted me at halftime, and it was 30-3 or something like that. And I was like, he goes, "Is Virginia Tech good or is Syracuse just bad?" And I'm like, I don't know. I looked at the score. I said, "Holy crap, dude! Like, what is going on?" But that was at Tech. This is at Louisville. Louisville's better than I expected. Their schedule is very easy. Louisville's favored by 9.5 points. Andrew, who you got on this one?
Man, I'm gonna tell you. I think if Virginia Tech can play the defense like they did, like NC State did against Louisville, I've got Tech, man. Something about Tech has really turned it around for me. And I'll be honest with you, I think the quarterback is finally settled in, makes some Kevin Drones, I think it is, makes some big time throws. And the defense for Tech is actually stepping up. You can say what you want. I'll be there in 2 weeks. Trust me. Yeah. I'm nervous about that game myself, but I can tell you, I think Tech is on the up and up. I think they had a little bad run here at the beginning, but I'm sorry. Plummer is interception prone.
Mm-hmm.
You get enough pressure on him, when the pocket collapses, he's going to make a mistake. And I'm not taking nothing away from him. I think he's an NFL caliber quarterback. But something about this is telling me that Tech's going to come in there and they're going to upset and make some more noise in the ACC trying to get into that second spot.
I'm with you there. I think it's going to be a little bit of a surprising game. I think you're going to see the exact same type of game that State Louisville had, where it was 13-10 again. But I think you're going to see the opposite this time. I think you're going to see Virginia Tech pulling it out 13-10.
I got Louisville, dude.
You can ask the other two. I like Louisville. I think Louisville's a great team. But there is something about Virginia Tech right now that seems to have hit their stride at the right time.
I mean, they're playing really good ball. If you really look at their stats, offensively and defensively.
Yeah. Everybody's
Schrader's a good quarterback for Syracuse. I mean, he's a pretty damn good quarterback. But I tell you, anytime that you can shut like that down, I mean, that was Syracuse's playmaker right there was a quarterback. And I mean, he's smart with the ball as well. But anytime somebody like that, you lose, 30-3 or whatever it is, or whatever the final score was, I think Tech is steadily, I think Tech's steadily up and coming.
Yeah.
And Louisville's going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball effectively because Louisville showed it against Duke. Duke's defense is not anything to joke about. Duke's defense is really good. They're really strong up front. The secondary didn't show up well, but, I mean, Louisville's just going to run the ball and they're going to score quite a bit.
Oh, I'm with you, but the one thing I think that concerns me is if Louisville's secondaries or linebackers can shut down Jamari Thrash, who else do they got?
Virginia Tech.
Thrash is the go-to.
Thrash. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Jamari Thrash. I mean, that's the only receiver that Plummer goes to.
Yeah.
Other than the tight end.
Yeah.
All right, Dylan, who you got, man?
I do like Jake Plummer. I'm right there with you. I think he is an NFL caliber quarterback. I think he has that potential. He does have tendencies to throw interceptions. You get a lot of pressure on him. He is susceptible to throwing picks. Jamari Thrash is their number one. He is one of the best. He's one of the best receivers in the NCAA right now. He's shown that week in, week out, but they are a little lackluster on having any other type of threat outside their running game. They can lean on their running game. They're one of the teams that can. I think that's why you've been seeing them be able to get up in the second half. They can run clock out if they want to, or they can keep the gas down and score more points. I've got Louisville in this. I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think that Louisville's going to beat the pants off of them, but I think they'll 14 point favorites in this. I think that's about what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, they're 9.5 last I checked.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, Virginia Tech, last week, they did look very, very good. I think they could be on the uprise. I'm kind of surprised they are as high in the ACC as they were. I looked at it the other day, and yeah, they are. They're right there with Louisville, and it's kind of surprised me. But I don't know if that's as much to say that Virginia Tech is good, or if you've seen other teams fall out, because Miami, Duke, North Carolina, all of them they fell out the last couple of weeks. Virginia Tech wasn't even in the conversation until those three started playing the way that they did on the last about 2 weeks or so. Virginia Tech's not somebody you can sneeze at and just say, hey, well, we're just going to beat y'all, go on about our day. But I do think Louisville it'll be about 10, 14 point favorite for this game.
So I'm conflicted, man, right? Because Virginia Tech's strength is their run defense. That's Syracuse's strength. Louisville, I mean, you guys made a good point. Louisville can run the ball.
Yeah,
I think Virginia, if this was at Blacksburg, I'd be higher on this pick.
Mm-hmm.
Brent Pry's got those boys buzzing, man. Like they do. And if they can stop Thrash, I think the key to this game is Jamari Thrash. If Jamari Thrash has 120 yards, Louisville will win. If he doesn't, I think Tech's defense is stout enough to stop them because they're flying under the radar. Tech easily beat Pitt, and Pitt blew out Louisville, right?
Yeah.
By the same score. By the same score. It was 38-21 both ways. But Louisville beating Duke last week. I'm wondering if the Pitt was just a letdown game. I'm going to go Virginia Tech. I'm very worried about it. I think I don't know how good Louisville is. I have a different take on Louisville's quarterback. I think their coach is good. I think their quarterback is a good second year for a coach coming in. Granted, I haven't watched a lot of Louisville tape, so I could be wrong on Plummer. He's got the last name, right? Like he's got, Jake Plummer, he's got the right name, but I'm gonna go Virginia Tech here, and I'm very cautious Virginia Tech, but I'm gonna go Virginia Tech. I wouldn't be surprised if Louisville wins. It's more so that I don't want to see Louisville in the ACC championship game because I think Florida State will beat the brakes off of them. I think Virginia Tech has a better shot. Next game, BYU at West Virginia. West Virginia's favored by 10. They seem to be back. Garrett Green is balling. They should have beat Houston. They should be number 2 in the Big 12 right now. I just don't think BYU is good this year. Oh, I think West Virginia is going to win. West Virginia is going to win big.
I agree. Same thing. West
Yep.
Virginia's going to win big.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
Nick?
I'm there with a 35-point victory. Take me home country roads.
Andrew, you with us too?
Yeah, I'm going West Virginia in this one.
All right. Simple West Virginia across the boards. That means BYU is going to win. Washington's at USC. Washington's favored by 3 points. Not a big USC fan. Caleb Williams is in the headlines for the wrong reasons. Their defense is doo-doo. I think Penix has a big game and continues. This is his Heisman game. Excuse me. I think he has to win this one to show that Washington's defense or Washington's good enough to be in the top 4. So they have this is Washington's year if they ever had one. So I'm going Washington here.
I'm with you. I'm sold. I've been sold on Penix since watching him play Oregon. That game really solidified it for me that how good he is. But I think you're going to see a huge victory by Washington. About a 14 to 21 point victory.
I see Penix having over 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I see Penix. shooting the doors off of USC's abysmal defense.
Yeah.
I think Caleb
Mhm.
Williams will try to play well, but I mean he hasn't been playing the best recently. He's been throwing a lot of picks. He's getting a lot of rather careless. I mean his defense isn't going to help him. Washington, their offense will definitely surpass
Yeah.
anything USC has in the defense.
You want to know something funny? Caleb Williams has less interceptions than Michael Penix.
I know, but I mean,
Well, Caleb Williams' first interception was Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's only thrown 4 picks, and what 3 of them was against Notre Dame.
3 of them was Notre Dame.
3 in one game, that's not a good start.
No.
That's not a good start on pick.
This game is interesting. I want Washington to win. In my heart, I'm going with Washington. ESPN has USC winning this game, which is kind of funny to me because I stopped listening to what ESPN said because I know y'all do. I look at ESPN for my picks for half of them. Their suggestions are sorry. Like they're wrong half of the time. So usually I go against ESPN, but I do have Washington in this. I'm just scared though that USC is going to do what they did last week to Cal and come back and just drop a 50 bomb on Washington. It's going to, honestly, to me, it's going to take 60 points to win this game.
Yeah, it's going to shoot out.
I could see this game breaking the scoring record.
This is typical Pac-12. Nobody plays defense on the West Coast.
Yep.
We're just going to throw the ball along, let our receivers go get it. Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, you can easily see them both combining for 1,000 yards this week. In all honesty,
maybe more.
Right,
yeah,
Aaron,
maybe even more.
You going with Washington with us? You've been high on.
Yeah, I'm picking. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. I can't go against them right now. I think it's going to come down to that defense that showed up against Oregon on them 4th down stops.
Yep.
That's the defense that you're going to need at least 3 out of 4 series in order to stay in this. It's going to be a shootout, but I think Washington's defense, well, I don't think I know, is a whole lot better than USC's, but that defense has to show up like it did against Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
But back to what you were saying, I think this is Penix's, hey,
yep,
see ya, I'm the Heisman.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So I got Washington on this one. I think it's going to be anywhere between a 7 and 10-point game, but I think Washington's defense steps up at the end and shuts Caleb Williams up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last game of the week, we got LSU at Bama. Bama is favored by 3. It's in Tuscaloosa. It is a night game. And just some background, my disdain for Brian Kelly is more than Andrew's disdain for UNC. I hate that man with a passion. I hope his shoes come untied every time he puts them on. Like, I just do not like the guy at all. I think his team is phony. LSU's defense should never be this bad, ever, especially out of Louisiana. I think Nick Saban flipped a switch after the Texas loss. He wanted to see who he had behind Milroe because we knew Milroe was going to be the starter at the UCF game. And ever since then, I doubted him against Tennessee, and I wish that I didn't. Because Nick Saban, this is the type of season where Nick Saban will win the rest of the games and get into the college football playoff because everybody is doubting him. Nick Saban wins this game by 10 to 15 points.
I 100% agree with you. I mean, I'm biased as hell. I love Bama. Bama is just home. LSU, I've been questioning it every year. Sure, they have a good quarterback. Sure, he can throw the ball well. I agree with you. Brian Kelly is a moron from Notre Dame. I didn't like him at Notre Dame. I hate him. Just anything to do with Notre Dame. But, I mean, Bama's offensive line just has to give Milroe some time. Not much. I think it'll be good. Their defense is getting better and better. The secondary is still terrible. I hate the secondary, and every analysis you'll hear or every person will sing high praise of secondary. I don't have anything good to say about
they've
secondary.
Been bad all year.
Yeah, but the number 15 Turner, which for Alabama linebacker, I wish he wasn't leaving. He splits out, plays linebacker at the end. He is an unrealistic talent. In the Ole Miss game, they threw a little check down route. Instead of him going for the quarterback, he literally followed the running back and he threw it over the guy's head. Turner is gonna make the game a fun game to watch. Bama
Yeah.
wins.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Bama is gonna. I think you're gonna see a LSU team that's never been picked apart before. Like they are going to be on Saturday night. Tuscaloosa, being in Tuscaloosa is going to make a big difference too for Joe Milton. So I see Bama winning probably about, like you said, about 15 to 20 points, give or take some.
Jaden Daniels is a stud quarterback, and right now he's my number 2 in the Heisman. That is my only concern.
Yeah, but I think he's going to get one bad hit when he runs.
Yeah,
100% with that. He has been shown to love to try to get hit. Like, dude, the Ole Miss game scared me when he got his lights knocked out, and he just like, I'm gonna keep running, dude. You are asking for trouble.
He's
You
so
don't
good,
want to
though.
swing.
That's just my only concern. Is if it turns
Yeah.
into a shootout, LSU will win.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, Dylan, who you got?
So I'm gonna have a take here. I'm gonna pick Alabama in this just for the simple fact their defense is starting to come into play a little bit. But before you say that,
shut up. Let's just go on to the next person.
He hates it whenever I picked Alabama games. No, but if LSU wins this, Jane Daniels is the Heisman Trophy winner for this year.
Agree.
Yeah,
no, I don't agree. Actually, he has to win out, but yes.
Well, here's my point on this. And I love Michael Penix. Michael Penix was my start, and boys will tell you whenever we first started, Michael Penix was my number 1 for the Heisman this year, all throughout the season. I'm not negating anything that he's done. But Jaden Daniels for LSU, if they don't have him, they're probably a 2-win team this year.
Yeah.
Period. He has literally led this team on the ground and in the air. He has the most total yards. He has the most total touchdowns out of everybody. And that's what a bye week last week. He's still higher than Michael Penix. So to me, Jaden Daniels, he plays good this game, and LSU wins. LSU has to win for him to be in contention to win a Heisman. If they lose this game, which I think they do, I have Alabama winning this because they are in Tuscaloosa. Even though in history we've looked at majority of Alabama losses are in Tuscaloosa or Auburn, if you really want to go there, but we're not going to go that way.
Screw Auburn.
Yeah. So I do have Alabama in this game. I think it's gonna be closer than you think. I think it's gonna be more of a shootout. I like Milroe. I think he can get the job done, but watch out for Jaden Daniels to throw about 350 in this game. Easy. And Malik Neighbors, watch out for that cat.
I just worry. I don't know, man. I don't know if a 2-loss person can win the Heisman.
It's tough, and that's why I said
it's the best player. And you're right. The award is who is the most valuable player for your team.
Mm-hmm.
But in that case, I can name about 4 other people as well. So
you can,
it's
and that's a fair take
between Penix and Daniels right now. I think it is. So
yeah, and I agree. I agree on to that. I'm very high on Daniels, even though it's just like you said, Aaron. It scares the absolute hell out of me every time he runs the ball because he will not slide. And as somebody like me that loves quarterback play, that's what I pay attention to. I was a quarterback. I love quarterback play. I analyze them every single week whenever we get on here. That is the number 1 you don't do. You don't take unnecessary hits. Homie loves to do it for some reason. He thinks he's like 230. Dude, you look like a basketball player. Get on the ground. No, there ain't no basketball player that takes hits. That's what you look like, bro. Stay on the ground.
All right, Andrew, who you got?
Oh, me. I don't like Brian Kelly, so I'm going Bama. But I will say on this, the only thing with Bama to me is just the secondary, man.
Yeah, it scares me.
It kind of blows my mind. And like I said, everybody's got good valid points. But after that win against Tennessee, it's hard for me now to even say, okay, you're in Tuscaloosa. Something is telling me that Nick Saban has turned it around, and I think they're going to be that team that's going to sneakily get in the conversations here in the
Be
next
that,
couple
be that
weeks.
4th seed in the playoffs.
He's on my boy Pat McAfee show every Thursday, so I got to go with him. Got to roll punches on that. All right, well that's our picks of the week. I'm going to run through 10 locks of the week, and just feel free to chime in afterwards and let me know what you guys think. My locks of the week are spreads and over and unders. What my gambling picks, if I could gamble, if I could recommend, but I'm not recommending. So bet with your own money. That's my legal statement right there. Notre Dame at Clemson. I think Notre Dame wins by more than 3. Arkansas at Florida. I think Florida wins by more than 6. They always usually have a good comeback game right after, and Arkansas is god awful. Kansas State at Texas, over 49 points. I think it gets into a shootout. I don't think it's a low scoring game there. Jacksonville State at South Carolina. Give me Jacksonville State plus 15.5. Rich Rod's got them boys buzzing, man. And then take the over in that game as well at 55. Oklahoma at Oklahoma State. I already have Oklahoma State winning outright, so give me Oklahoma State plus 6. Tulane at ECU. I have Tulane winning by more than 17 points after a close win last week. Also the over of 47. Sorry, ECU guys. I'm big on Tulane. Greatest logo
I'm
in
with
college football.
Yeah, we're not
No,
arguing.
Really, really down.
No,
this
I'm.
year.
I think Tulane is one of the most underrated.
I'm not going to go on a rant about Houston, but
Holton Ahlers has been gone, Donovan. It's okay. That was
Yeah.
their saving grace.
Kansas at Iowa State. Give me Kansas minus 2.5. I think they win by more than 3. I don't like Iowa State here. And then UCLA at Arizona. UCLA is favored by 3 points, so give me Arizona plus 3. They've been on a roll. The one game I wanted to take, just because it's the first game that the over-under has been under 30 in like 100 years or something like that. I don't know how long it's probably only been like 20 or 30. Is the Northwestern versus Iowa game in Wrigley Field. It's 29.5. So if you're feeling like you want to bet the under there, I think I would go the under 29.5 in that game too. But I'm not going to put that as an official pick. So okay. Any comments on any of those games that I just listed off there? I know I went through them pretty quick.
No. I think you're pretty solid on.
Oh yeah, I like all of it.
Okay, upset of the week. I'll go first, and we'll knock this out pretty quickly. I have 2, but it's one of them because I'm sure Andrew's going to pick the second one. My first one is Jacksonville State over South Carolina. Like I already said, Rich Rod has the boys, the Gamecocks, the real Gamecocks, not the South Carolina Gamecocks. 15.5 points, I think, is a lot of points. I think they can cover. South Carolina's down this year. You never know which Spencer Rattler you're going to get. So give me Jacksonville State to win, even though they're down by 15.5 points. For the upset of the week, guys, we try to keep it 7 points or more. So if you guys have them, great. If you don't, you can just say pass. Andrew, who you got for your upset of the week?
I've got 2. This might come as a shock. I've got Ohio State at Rutgers. Something about Greg Schiano and the boys playing tough. I'm not saying that Ohio. Well, I am actually, because it is the upset and it doesn't count against my record. I think Rutgers puts up a really good game, and I really think they might upset them there.
Interesting.
Secondly, I've got Mizzou and Georgia.
Oh, okay. Who?
I think the Ohio State at Rutgers was 18.5, and Mizzou at Georgia was 15.5 last time I looked.
I thought you said Purdue and Georgia. I'm like, hold on. Mizzou.
No, Mizzou.
Okay, well then I'm gonna sneak in my other one since you didn't say it. Virginia Tech at Louisville, 9.5 points. I think Virginia Tech wins outright there. Sorry. Okay,
No,
Nick, I see you laughing over there. Did I just take yours? I'm sorry.
You took one of my 3. I and then Andrew took the other one, but I'm also there with Maryland, Penn State. So I have Maryland, Penn State, and then the what was it? Mizzou, Georgia, and then Virginia Tech, Louisville.
Aaron, you got any?
Oklahoma State, the one we all talked about, just upsetting Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma State can upset them by a lot.
Yeah.
It's just Oklahoma.
I'm worried that people are hopping on that train though, Aaron. Like that's really starting to scare me because all the podcasts I listen to are all on it too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Dylan, who you got, man?
I've got two that y'all haven't said yet. One I'm actually surprised Nick didn't say about it. So the first one I've got is Arizona State versus Utah. Utah is favored by 11 points. Nothing about Utah says that they're an elite team right now, and I think anybody has a chance to upset them right at this very point. My other one, which is the one Nick's gonna like, is Oregon State versus Colorado.
Yeah.
Oregon State's favored by 13.5.
Coach-
I see Shadur coming in here.
Shadur.
Shadur, I see him dropping about 450 in this game. Be straight honest with you.
So
Travis Hunter.
Andrew's
The only-
laughing because I have been the biggest Dion supporter all year long. And I want him to be so petty that Billy Napier gets fired and he comes to Florida and makes Florida a national championship again. I predicted that Colorado goes 6-6. I need them to win 2 more games since they blew the Stanford one. So I'm hoping you're right, man.
Yeah, I'm with Deion Sanders. I'm gonna ride it down with Deion right now. Biggest thing about him is I think after all their jewelry was stolen out of their game at UCLA, I think they're gonna call it some vengeance, because they haven't gotten their money back for it yet. So I think you're gonna see a little chip on their shoulder, especially those guys. But the only thing that scares me about Colorado is his starting safety, who's his eldest son, and I cannot think what his first name is.
Kylo.
He is in this
Kylo.
game.
Shiloh.
I think what saves them, it's at Colorado, not Oregon State.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, Donovan, DJ's going to have a hell of a game, Mr. DJ fan.
I also picked Oregon State to win the Pac-12 because I thought, and DJ's had a great year. You cannot deny that.
Wow.
Because Oregon State's defense is amazing. Martinez, the running back, is a sophomore now. He's really, really good. I just I thought that they would be like the cog in the gears of all the other teams.
DJ is not that good. Yeah, DJ Ukulele, he is not that good.
That's what my fiance calls him too, is DJ Ukulele. And I think it's hysterical.
Got 2 people on the bandwagon on that one.
Yeah. No, Andrew's he's hated my take since day one. He's done better at Oregon State than he's been at Clemson. We cannot deny that.
He has.
He hasn't done to what I thought he would do. Good picks, guys. Good picks. Okay, and then player of the week. This is one player that we think that is going to go off this weekend, or group of players, or side of the ball, whatever. However you want to do it, kind of free reign. I'll go first. I've already said it. Ollie Gordon, my man, is going to get another 200-yard game, and he's going to be the player of the game, and he's going to put himself in the Heisman conversation starting this week. So Ollie Gordon, Oklahoma State running back.
I got Bama's offensive line. Nick Saban has made the defense start playing well. The stupid offensive line that likes to eat the sand in the sandbox is actually going to play well.
I like that.
They've been getting beat up. It's so tough to watch every game. I'm just screaming at the TV. My dad's like, Aaron, you have to calm down like a camp. It's like watching idiots playing in a sandbox.
Hey,
I
Aaron, Nick, before you go, I want to tell you this because I haven't got a chance to tell you this. So the first week that you brought up Alabama's offensive line playing in the sandbox, Alabama's TikTok, they reposted one of our things and reached out to us. And like they follow Alabama's TikTok follows us. And it was that week I was like, please don't go watch the show. Please don't go watch the show. Because you roasted their offensive line. Like,
hey, maybe that's what made them start playing better.
I know, dude. Hopefully, I just want them.
You be a motivational speaker.
Yeah,
I'm going to sandbox. I'm making a T-shirt for that. By the way, I'm in the research process right now. I'm gonna make a T-shirt that says don't play in a sandbox.
Do me a favor. Make one of Dave Dorn's comments and give it to Levy to give to me.
I got you. Yeah, that's actually a really good one. I'll do that.
All right, Nick, who you got as a player to watch?
Player to watch. I know I chose against him this week. He's hold on, I'm sorry, pulling up his name because I want to make sure I say everything right. Jawar Jordan out of Louisville. I know I chose Virginia Tech, and I said that, but he has been coming out of nowhere, kind of like stepping up in the ACC as running back. And then my other one, I'm not going to pronounce his first name because I'm not going to even give it a shot, but Tungabailoa at Maryland, I think he's going to have a breakout game this week against Penn State.
Yeah.
My player to watch this week, Lad McConkey. That's been my number one. That's been my number one. Yeah. Homie last week, 6 receptions, 135 yards, 1 touchdown. He led that offense receiving wise, and honestly, he was a spark plug for them. He got it going in the first quarter. And Carson Beck needs somebody to he needs somebody to have his shoulder throughout these games because Bowers ain't there. And I will say too, their backup tight end is not that bad. I think his last name is Delp. I want to say he's number 4.
They got like 3 in the pipeline too that are like 4 stars. Like they're amazing.
Yeah. Their backup that came in for Bauer, he's more of a blocking tight end than he is a receiving, but he will go out and make a catch. I know he made like a one-handed catch on the right sideline going up towards the end zone on the first drive. But I think Ladd has to go in, and he's been battling injury. It was really great to see him go out there and play the way that he did because he's a really special talent. He just hasn't had the chance this year to really show it just because he's been battling all those injuries. But he's going to be my player to watch this week. As long as he stays healthy, I think he can go out and have another big game against Mizzou.
All right, Andrew, who you got?
You already know who I have. And I'll give you one yes. Only because the quarterback made some comments this week that I think is really going to fire this defense back up 2 weeks in a row. I'm going with NC State's defense.
Okay. Homer pick.
Yep, I am. I'll tell you why. Between Peyton Wilson is probably one of the best linebackers in the country. Say what you want.
Underrated, yeah.
Underrated for sure. Sean Brown coming out of the nickel and the safety. Tyler Van Dyke's comments saying, "Oh yeah, well their defense is top whatever." Oh yeah, we should have put 60 on them last year. I think that fires that defense up. I'm not saying NC State's going to win, but I think NC State's going to put Tyler Van Dyke in check, and I think it's going to be a whole lot closer than what the spread covers.
Is Peyton Wilson? He's good to go for this weekend, right?
Yep, he is good. Everybody said that he just sprained his knee or whatever, put a brace on at door and kept him out the last 4 minutes last week as a safety protocol, but he is good to go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we got a good week here going forward. It's getting closer and closer to the end of the season and 200 days of no football. So not what we like to see, but it's getting closer to the playoff as well. Well, appreciate it, boys. Thank you again. Where can we watch your guys' show at?
Any of your major podcasting sites and YouTube.
And it's the Athletes Table, correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Awesome, guys. I'll tag their social media as well in our post. Thank you guys, Aaron, Nick, Dylan. Thank you guys so much.
Thank y'all, man. Really enjoyed it. Beginning of the year.
Yeah, sorry it was a little bit longer of an episode, but it was fun to hear some of the takes for sure.
We'll be doing this again hopefully really soon.
Yeah, man. All right, guys.
Yes, sir.
For those listening at home, be a friend, tell a friend, keep spreading the word. And if you don't like us, just keep how you doing, keep it moving. That's what we'd like to say here. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you next week.